9, and we have went till just 1 second. And then 9, and we have 13, isn't it? Okay, so let me share a screen. Let's chant the Mangalacharan. Okay. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, let's chant the prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dati Sopadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvitam Savadhutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyatya Desadharini He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So we have reached till text 13 in chapter 9. I think it's already there. We'll continue from there. So last week we discussed about this text 13, which is a very important verse where Krishna speaks about the pure devotees, right? And anyone who worship Krishna with devotion, they are called as Mahatmas. So Krishna says this Mahatmanas to Mam Partha Devim Prakritim Ashrita Bhajante Ananyo Manasa Kyatva Bhutatam Abhyayam. So we discussed about that there are two divine natures of Krishna. One is divine nature and one is material nature. And those who are Mahatmas, those who are actually devotees of Krishna, they engage themselves in devotional service and they take protection under divine nature or Srimati Radharani. Right. And we discussed elaborately on this. And then what the point is, after Krishna saying that these are the Mahatmas, right? And Prabhupada says that in this verse, description of Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of Mahatma is that they situated in the divine nature. They take shelter of the divine nature, right? They are not in the control of material nature, right? We talked about Jiva Atma, we are living entities, and the material nature as well as spiritual nature. So we have the desire, we have this choice to incline towards either material nature or towards divine nature. And those are Mahatmas, those are engaged in devotional service, they take shelter at the divine nature, right? And then the important point after that is 14th verse. We'll start today, 14th. So what does these devotees do? What did they do, right? So once they take shelter of divine nature, and what did they do? Let's read it from text 14. Please repeat after me. Satatam. You can repeat after me, please.
Yes. Satatam
Kirtiyanto Mam Yatantas Cha Dridhavrita Namastanstan Namasyantas cha
cha
mam
mam
bhaktya
bhaktya
nitya
nitya
yukta
yukta
upasate
upasate
satatam kirtayanto mam
satatam kirtiyanto mam
yatantascha dృఢవ్రతా
yatantascha dradavrata
namasyantascha mam bhaktya
namasyantascha mam bhaktya
nitya yukta upasate.
nitya yukta upasate.
So what did they do? The devotees who partake in devotional service, what did they do? Krishna says, Satatam kirtayanto mam. They always glorify, they chant my glories all the time. They endeavor with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perfectly worship me with devotion. So this is the devotees who always engage themselves, Satatam or Nityam, right? It says Nitya. It's not about just, okay, I worship you and I get some my bone being satisfied and now I'm okay, I don't need to worship anymore. But they do not worship Krishna for their self sense gratification. They worship Krishna with devotion, with love. And how? Satatam, always. They always chant the glories of Krishna. They always take the name of Krishna. They endeavor with great determination. They endeavor for love of Krishna. They endeavor for devotion. They endeavor for reading Bhagavad Gita, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, talking with Srimad Bhagavatam, discussing with the devotees. And they bow down before me. And hence, they worship Krishna with devotion. So these two words, text 13 and text 14 of chapter 9, says about the Ananya Bhakta or pure devotees, that they have no material desire. They have no a tinge of desire for material things. They do worship Krishna with devotion. They love Krishna. They wanted to reciprocate Krishna with love and devotion. Right? No other business in that. As Prabhupada says that no, there is no business. Ahituki apratiyata yatma suprasiddhati. So they worship Krishna without any interruption and without any motivation. So no interruption, that's Satatam always, and Nityam always, and there is no personal motivation. I mean, personal motivation, personal desire, sense gratification, right? There is no desire for that. So let's see what Prabhupada says. Very starting line, interesting. Prabhupada starts that the Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. So the Mahatmas, we cannot just put anyone saying a rubber stamp, okay, he's the Mahatma. What the description are? He says the Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. So impersonalist means the people who thinks Krishna as non-person, right? But the devotees, they're saying that Krishna is supreme being, he is a person. And hence, as he is a person, they have to engage themselves in the devotional service. They serve Krishna with devotion, right? So that's what it says. And when the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising his holy name, his eternal form, his pastimes and qualities and others, right? So that's how the qualification or qualities of Mahatmas is given. Satatam kirtayanto mam. So what did they do? They actually, Satatam kirtayanto mam, he says, Krishna is saying they partake in chanting and glorifying my holy name. They partake in discussing my pastimes, my all these activities, right? Those are all transcendental. How? Dೃಢವ್ರತ, in very full determination. There is no tinge of moving here and there, right? They are completely fixed on their path of devotion, and they worship. They do it nitya. It's not just one day or 1 week or okay, I'll need to do it for some till my bone gets satisfied or fulfilled. Then I'll come back again when I need something else. It's not like that. They do it nitya, right? And they worship nitya or continuously, right? And then Prabhupada describes here that such a Mahatma has a firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association with Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 rasas. Right. So to achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, and everything in the service of the Lord. So we can actually attain these rasas, 5 rasas, Santa, Dasha, Sakya, Vatshalya, and Madhurya. We discussed this earlier as well. So the devotees, they engage Krishna in these 5 rasas, especially the last four, and the topmost one is the Madhurya rasa, the gopis rasas. Right. It means what? There's an interaction between them. There's an engagement. There's an activities. Is that it's not about just thinking of void. It's not something called void. It's not impersonal. He's a person, and hence they engage themselves that. And in that service of the Supreme Lord Krishna, that is called full Krishna consciousness, engaging our mental, bodily, and vocal. Vocal means mental is thinking of Krishna. Ena kena prakarena Mana Krishna Niveshata. It's being said that in whatever the way you like, whatever the way you can engage yourself, but engage your mind in Krishna's service. Right? Engage your body in Krishna's service, and engage your words in Krishna's service. Vocal, you can sing. If you can sing nicely, you can sing nice bhajans, kirtan for the glorification of Krishna. For the glorification of the Krishna, for the pleasure of the devotees. Right? For the pleasure of Krishna. And we can sing about glories of Krishna, we can discuss his pastimes, we can talk about him with everyone. And by body, we can actually engage ourselves in servicing Krishna's temple, cleaning temple, or in what other ways, like, bowing down to Krishna, that's a bodily activity, but it's a transcendental activity to serve Krishna, respecting Krishna, right? And in this way, we can engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness. Okay, and like again, Prabhupada says about this fasting as well. So fasting for Krishna in the Ekadashi day, right, is fasting for Krishna. They're the topmost fasting. If you are fasting something, it's the best to fast on Ekadashis. And it has actually a lot of scientific reasons as well of fasting on Ekadashi. The science even says that we should fast on Ekadashi, right? Okay. And so these 2 verses, 13 and 14, it talks about pure devotees and actually worshipping Krishna with devotion. If you remember in chapter 7, Krishna speaks this first about impersonalist, and then about the demigod worship, and then he speaks about this topmost is worshipping Krishna. And now he has started with Ananya Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti towards Krishna. And then now we will see it goes more towards personalist, impersonalist, and about the Mayavadis, and about demigod worship and Gyanis. Let's see what Krishna says. So first he talks about Kevala Bhaktis, and then he will now talk about 3 types of worshipper. That is especially the 3 types of Gyanis, or 3 flavors of Gyanis, how they worship Krishna in different way. So one is where Mahatmas with a great soul, who they engage themselves in devotional service to Krishna, right? Always bowing down to Krishna, always talking about Krishna, discussing about Krishna, and worshipping Krishna with love and devotion. And let's see text 15, where it describes about the different flavors or different way the Gyanis sees. So first one is the Bhaktas, or the pure devotees, and then now is text 15 till 19, actually it will deliberate more about these Gyanis, right? So different ways how people see Krishna, or especially those are Gyanis. That comes in text 15. Please repeat after me. Jnana
Yajnena
chapyanye yajanto mam upasate ekatvena patatvena bahuda vishwato mukham ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये
ज्ञानयज्ञेन चापन्ये
यजन्तो माम् उपासते
यजन्तो माम उपासते
तत्त्वेन पृथक्त्वेन
एकत्वे
तत्त्वेन प्रत्यक्षेन
बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम्.
बहुधा
बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम्.
So, Jnana Yogena, the even by the cultivation of knowledge, Prabhupada says this yajna is a sacrifice, isn't it? The Jnana Yajna is sacrifice. And what is to do? They worship Krishna. Yajanto Mam Upashate. They worship Krishna in three different ways. What are those? Ikatvena, that is worshipping Krishna in oneness. We'll discuss these three words again in a bit more detail when we go to more deeper in this chapter. Ekatvena is worshipping Krishna is oneness, and Prathaktvena is worshipping Krishna is diversity. So Gyan is they elaborate or worship Krishna in different ways. Three flavors are given in this verse. Ekatvena is worshipping Krishna in oneness. Prathaktvena is worshipping Krishna in diversity, and Bahuda Vishuto Mukham, worshipping Krishna in his universal form, seeing everything as Krishna. Right. So that is these are the three ways we'll see it. So what it again? Ekatvena means worshipping Krishna as oneness. It means what? It means that Krishna and I are same. So it means oneness. I am and Krishna are actually same, right? Which is actually the lowest kind of worship. Prabhupada says it, that the lowest kind of worship is thinking that I myself is God, right? That's ekatvena. And prathaktvena is what? In diversity. So any form we see of the God or demigod, we worship, okay, he's actually as Supreme Lord. So Supreme Lord, seeing anything as comparing to him as Supreme Lord. That's the prathaktvena in diversity. Any form you see, you can worship him as Krishna, right? And then Vishutomukham is Krishna's universal form, or everything what we see in this cosmos, or basically worshiping the nature as Krishna, right? So let's see ahead on that. Is that clear? Three words: Ekatvena, Prathaktvena, and Bahudha Vishutomukham. Okay. So 13 and 14 verse, Krishna speaks about Kevala Bhaktya, and now he's saying that these three words, others, he actually discriminates others. Those who are pure devotee of Lord, they worship him as a person, they worship with love and devotion, they chant his glory, his names, Satam, Nitya, all the time, every time. And however, the others who engage in sacrifice by cultivation of knowledge or Jnana Yajna, right? So we can worship Krishna by karma, by jnana, or by dhyana and bhakti. So here this jnana, again, cultivation of knowledge is described. They worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. These are the three way people or jnanis, they worship Krishna. So this verse is a summary of the previous verses. Right. The Lord tells Arjuna that those who are purely in Krishna consciousness and do not know anything other than Krishna are called Mahatmas. Yet there are other persons who are not exactly in the position of Mahatmas, but who worship Krishna also in different ways. Right. So these are the degradation of people who worship in different ways, not understanding Krishna as supreme being. If you remember in text 11 and 12, Krishna says about the fools, right? When Krishna comes in the form of a human being, as a human being in this material world, people deride him, right? And he thinks, oh, he is not Krishna. So these are the fools, right? So there are different ways people worship. So different ways here, this Gyan is worship in three ways. What it says, so some of them have already been described as distress, or if you see in the chapter 7, the four ways, Chaturveda Vajante Mam, that verse where people worship Krishna in distress and in the need of finance, and in some are inquisitive, and the fourth one is cultivation of knowledge. So in this four, in this four type of this cultivation of knowledge is actually higher. However, even the cultivation knowledge, they are divided into three other parts. What? And Prabhupada says that he who worship himself as one without the Supreme Lord. So he is same as Krishna. There are many people who claim himself that they are Supreme God or they are God, right? But they're the lowest. That's it's never possible. That's a wrong philosophy to understand himself as Krishna. And the second level is who concrete some form of Supreme Lord and worship that. And third is he who accepts the universal form of Vishwarupa of the Supreme Lord and worship that. Right. So if you see, Prabhupada says here that out of the three, the lowest are those who worship themselves as Supreme Lord. So it's the very, very lowest kind of worshiping, thinking that I am the Supreme Lord. Right. And then Krishna Prabhupada says about this, also another type of God worship, for they understand that they are not the material body, but they are actually spirit soul. Right. And others, they worship this material universe or material nature as everything as God. Right. And now Krishna is going to describe in the next three verses about the last one, Vishwato Mukham, or the worshipping Krishna in universal form. Right. So from these three, with three, Ekatvena, Prathaktwena, and Bahuda Vishwato Mukham. Bahuda Vishwato Mukham is actually the highest. And the lower than that is Prathaktwena, and the lowest is Ekatvena. Understanding Krishna and myself as same is a blunder. It's basically the lowest form of worshipping Krishna. And then we see that this Prathaktwena actually comes towards the demigod worship. When we take any demigods or as Supreme Lord, and the Prathaktwena is again Krishna's material universal form. So in next 3 to 4 verses, actually Krishna is going to describe this Bhauta Vishwadamukha, and then Krishna describes about the Prathaktwena, or worshipping in the demigod worship. Right. And Ekatvena Krishna already describes in previous 11 and 12 verse, where people deride Krishna that they are completely foolish. Right. So let's see, there's 16 verse. Okay. So when the people worship Krishna, or when he sees this material nature and everything as Krishna, so what they see or what they think of Krishna, that's been described in these 3 verses. So everything what they see is actually as Krishna. Please repeat after me. Aham Kratur
Kratur
Aham
Aham
Yagyan
Yagya
Swadaham
Swadaham
Aham
Aham
Aushadham
Aushadham
Mantro
Mantro
Aham
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 Evajyam
Evajyam
Aham
Aham
Agnir
Agnir
Aham
Aham
Hutam.
Hutam.
So in this verse it says that how they see that everything is Krishna, what they say, but it is I who am the ritual. So some people worship as ritual, some as sacrifice, some as ancestors, and the herbs, whatever they see here, right? And Krishna is saying everything, actually they worship me in that way. And we'll see it, Krishna at the end say this is actually they worship me indirectly. So but it is I who am the ritual, I am the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. So everything they actually worship as Krishna. So the Vedic sacrifice known as Jyotishtamo is also Krishna. He is also Mahayagna mentioned in the Smriti. The oblation offered into the Prithviloka or the sacrifice performed to please Pitruloka, considered as a kind of drug in the form of clarified butter, is also Krishna. The mantras chanted in this connection are also Krishna, and many other commodities made with milk products for offering in the sacrifice are also Krishna. I think there is similar verse actually happens, we discussed in chapter 7 as well, where Krishna talks about Brahmana, and here Krishna changes to what the me, right? So the fire is also Krishna, because the fire is one of the 5 elements and is therefore claimed as a separate energy of Krishna. So in other words, the Vedic sacrifice recommended karma kand division of the Vedas are in total also Krishna, right? And in other words, Prabhupada says that those who engage in rendering devotional service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. So this is this last actually paragraph or last couple of lines actually describes more about this bhakta. If we are performing a devotional service towards Krishna, then actually we are surpassing all these karma kandas divisions. How? By performing directly service to Krishna is actually rendering devotional service is the best of that. So by rendering devotional service to Krishna, we are actually performing all the sacrifices recommended even in the Vedas, right? So the last level or Visuddhamukha, the Jnanis who worship Krishna in universal form, they see everything as Krishna, right? And there are 2 more verses where Krishna explains the same thing more in more detail, how these things. What's the time? Okay. Pitamahasya
पितामहस्य
Jagato
जगतो
Mata
माता
Dhata
धाता
Pitamaha
पितामहः
Vedyam
वेद्यं
Pavitram
पवित्रं
Omkara
ओंकार
Rikshama
ऋक्साम
Yajurevacha
यजुरेव च
Pitamasya Jagato
पितामहस्य जगतो
Mata Dhata Pitamaha
माता दाता पितामहः
Vedyam Pavitram Omkara
वेद्यं पवित्रम् ओंकार
Rikshama Yajurevacha.
ऋक्साम यजुरेव च.
So what Krishna is saying that I am the father of the universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire, and the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama, and Yajur Vedas. Right. So Krishna is the third category or Vishuddhamukha, they actually worship Krishna as everything. So Krishna is the father, Krishna is the mother, Krishna is the support, Krishna is the grandsire, and he is the object of knowledge. Even if you see all the mantras, Vedic mantras actually starts with Om, and Krishna is Om himself, right? Krishna, we can represent Krishna through Om as well. And Krishna is saying, I am also the Rig Ved, I am the Samaved and Yajur Ved. So Prabhupada says that the entire cosmic manifestation, moving and non-moving, are manifested by different energies of Krishna, by different activities of Krishna's energies. So in the material existence, we create different relationship with different living entity who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. And under the creation of Prakriti, some of them appear as our father, mother, grandfather, creator, etc. But actually, they are all part and parcel of Krishna. If you see, if you just try to relate ourselves with this way of father and mother, so if we go to our father, then ask our father, who is your father? If you go to then grandfather and then grandfather, and in that way, if you go link ourselves, we'll actually end till Lord Brahma. And when we ask Lord Brahma, he comes from the Vishnu's body, right? In a similar way, that's how we can say that Krishna is the father and mother. He actually everything in all, right? And we know that he is a creator of everything. However, Krishna does this through his different energies, right? I remember, and I was giving class for the kids in Hindu Mandir, and they were discussing this verse. And then one of the child, he asked that how Krishna can be father and can also be mother at the same time, right? So that's the way we can see the picture of a Garbhodakshay Vishnu when he lies, and from his navel a lot of flower sprouts, and from there Lord Brahma take birth, right? So that's how Krishna is father and mother of all everything. He is the sustainer of everything, right? He maintains everything. He creates everything. He maintains everything. He actually destroys everything, and everything goes within him. Actually, everything comes out from him and everything goes back into him as well. Okay. And then another verse in the same line, how it is. Gatir bharta
Gatir Bharta
prabhor
Prabhu
sakshi
Sakshi
nivasa
Nivasa
saranam
Sharanam
suhurt
Suhrut
prabhava
Prabhavaha
pralayah
Pralayaha
sthanam
Thanam
nidhanam
Nidhanam
bijam
Bijam
avyayam.
Avyayam
Gatir bharta prabho sakshi
Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi
nivasa saranam suhurt
Nivasaha Sharanam Suhrut
prabhava pralayah sthanam
Prabhavaha Pralayaha Sthanam
nidhanam bijam avyayam.
Nidhanam Bijamavyayam.
I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refugee, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basics of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. So Krishna is eternal seed. Krishna is actually sustainer. He's a master. He's a witness. Actually, this is the way this Bauddha Vishuddhamukha, how they see material nature and worship Krishna. That Krishna is actually everything. Right. However, they do not understand Krishna as supreme person. They think Krishna or a supreme being, supreme power as this universal nature. Right. So Gati, Prabhupada says the Gati means what? The destination and where you want to go. Gati means the destination where you want to go. But the ultimate goal is Krishna. Right. Although people do not know it. So ultimate goal is actually to understand that Krishna is the ultimate goal. Right. And Krishna is saying here, I am the Gati, I am the goal. Right. So one who does not know Krishna is misled. Right. If we take a different paths, we can get misled. But understanding Krishna's supreme goal, we can actually be on the correct path, right path. Right. And hence he says that if we are misled, then his so-called progressive march is either partial or hallucinatory. Right. So we might be illusioned when we take Krishna aside and try to go somewhere. Right. And then Prabhupada says that there are many who make as their destination different demigods, and by rigid performance of the strict respective methods, they reach different planets. Even if you remember, Krishna already saw that, as the way we worship the devatas, we actually attain their abode. And if we worship Krishna, we can actually we can attain Krishna's abode. And then also Krishna said that Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punavartina Arjuna. Even though we can go to the highest planet of Brahmaloka, we'll have to come back again in this material world. And Krishna explained this verse again in this chapter as well. If you go till I think 21, 22, in that verse we'll see it, how Krishna says that the worshipping demigods, we attain there. Even some people worship this to go to heavenly kingdom, and when they go to heavenly kingdom, they enjoy it. They do some piety, and by doing some piety, they went there and they enjoy it. And as the credit goes out, they come back again to the material world. So hence they go around this circle of going towards coming to material world, doing some piety, doing some good work, and go to heavenly kingdom, enjoy there, and come back again to material world. The cycle goes back over there. Even sometimes they might go to hellish planet as well, right, depending on our activity. But anyone who takes the path of Krishna consciousness, go to Krishna's loka, they never come back here. Right? We have discussed this earlier in chapter 7, chapter 8 as well. And Krishna is going to discuss more here in this chapter 2. Okay, so let's see the last verse 19 today. And then next section starts on 20. We'll check about this in our next week. And then we'll chant one round after that. So what Krishna is, again, let's see. Tapami. Tapamya.
Tapamya.
Aham
Aham.
Aham
Aham.
Varsham
Varsham.
Nigramane
Nigramani
Nigramani.
Usthujami cha
Utsujami
Utsurjami
cha
cha.
Amritam
Amritam
Amritam.
Chaiva
Chaiva.
Chaiva
Mrityus
Mrityas
Mrityu
cha
cha.
cha
Tad
Sad
Sat.
Ashach
Asat.
Asat
Chaham
Chaham.
Aham
Arjuna
Arjuna
Arjuna.
Tapamyam aham Varsham
Tapamya
Tapami. Aham Varsham.
Nikramanya Utsrujami cha
Nigranami. Utsurjami cha.
Amritam Chaiva Mrityascha
Amritam
Amritam chaiva
Chaiva
mrityuscha.
Mrityascha
Shad Ashad Chaham Arjuna.
Sat
Sat asat cham
Chaham
Arjuna.
Arjuna.
So this text is the last description about how Krishna, how these people who worship in Vishuddhamukha, how they worship in thinking everything a universal form as Krishna. So Arjuna, I give heat, and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality, and I am also the death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. So the point is, they worship in this way. However, actually everything is coming from Krishna, isn't it? So different energy of Krishna working in different ways. But they are worshiping the energies, but they miss to worship the energy provider. Right? In that way, it is. So Krishna, by his different energies, diffuses heat and light through the agency of electricity and sun. And during the summer season, it is Krishna who checks rains from the falling from the sky. And then during rainy season, he gives unceasing torrent of rain. The energy which sustains us by prolonging the duration of our life is Krishna, and Krishna meets us at the end as a death. So there is a nice given by this the acharyas and then even the devotees explain this verse that if we do not worship Krishna, Krishna comes to us at the form of death. Right. So death is unavoidable. No one can avoid it. Right. However, if you worship Krishna, then we can actually Krishna comes again at the time of death, but he comes there to take us back to Godhead. Right. Otherwise, he comes as Kala Mrityu, and we are bound again in this chakra of birth, death, and old age and disease. So by analyzing all these different energies of Krishna, one can ascertain that for the Krishna, there is no distinction between the matter and spirit. Or in other words, he is both matter and spirit. In the advanced stage of Krishna consciousness, one therefore makes no such distinction. He sees only Krishna in everything. So that's how they worship, by seeing Krishna in everywhere, seeing everything. Right. So this is how the Jnanis, they worship Krishna, they worship the material nature as supreme thing. Right. However, Krishna says that everything, whatever see in this material world, actually is given by me, provided by me himself. Okay, so anyone have any questions or thought or comments? We can take. We'll stop here and we'll chant our one round, maybe for 10 minutes. Okay, so a quick revision of what you discussed today. So we discussed most importantly about this verse number 13, and the 14, where the devotees, the Mahatmas, what they do, they always chant Krishna's name. They always engage themselves in their mind, body, and activities in the Krishna consciousness. They happen to do it all the time, satatam and nityam. They always do this, engaging their mind, body, and soul towards Krishna consciousness, chanting holy name, discussing Krishna katha, and that. And then we discussed about this. The Jnanis, the first topmost is bhaktas, and then the Jnanis in three flavor they see. What are those? Ekatvena, worshipping Krishna in oneness, thinking that I am Krishna or I am supreme being. That's the lowest thought. And then Pradaktavena, the people who worship Krishna in diversities, whatever they say that the devatas, demigod, they worship as the supreme being. And then the third one is Visuddha Mukha. So Krishna has given 16, 19, 3 or 4 verses where how the Gyanis who worship the material nature as Krishna. And then we have discussed about how they think that as for the sacrifice of Krishna, and then Pitama Jagato Mata Tata Pitamaha. So Krishna is the father, Krishna is the mother, Krishna is the grandsire, and Krishna is sustainer, and Krishna is the heat, Krishna is light, everything. This is way this Visuddha Mukha, the Gyanis who worship Krishna in universal form, we discussed. And in coming session in next week, we will discuss about this Prataktena, or in how people worship Krishna in diversity. Right. Okay, if there is no question, we will stop here, and we'll do our japa for 10 minutes. Right.